Holy shit, man. Every single time I do the podcast, I have to record my intro so many times. I don't understand why. It's because when I listen to my own podcast, like sometimes I do just to be very critical about how I do, I feel like there's no energy in the intro. So I was like, I decided that I'm gonna put in a lot of energy into my intro and be like, whoa, welcome back, and all that shit. But every time I want to do that, it's like normally when I don't do this podcast, I have such a silent life. Like, I don't talk to anybody much. Like, even if I do, it's like pretty rare. I get on calls with friends. So I don't normally talk, and then I have to come here and be like, whoa, what's happening, people? So yeah, to get that fake hype, it takes so much efforts. Uh, you know what? I'm jealous of all these YouTubers who just do this like super hyped intros very naturally. Hmm, I'm jealous of you guys. Please teach me how to. Yeah. So this is going to be a solo trip, which means it's just going to be me. So usually on my solo trips, I talk about something that's on my mind, like specific to one particular topic, or I do a Q&A where I ask my people on Instagram a certain question, or I let them ask me a certain question when I don't have anything to ask them. So on this episode, I put a Q&A poll on my Instagram story, and I've received a couple of interesting questions. So I'm going to be answering that. So to give a rundown of today's episode, I'm going to be doing a short like intro part. That's where I talk about what's happening in my life, and then I go to the Q&A part. So hope you guys have fun.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.
I have recently started watching Korean drama. So I've watched It's Okay to Not Be Okay on Netflix, and I'm not gonna lie, I fucking loved it. And so I'm a chick flicks kind of guy, so that's like my guilty pleasure. So I like watching that genre. It's like I like watching like cheesy romantic movies, like cheesy romantic movies. So I am like I love film. I love the art of like storytelling. I do. So that is like a critical side of me where I watch like art films just to appreciate the form of art. And there is other side of me which likes to watch like action movies, like sport movies, like boxing movies, like Creed, which like it super pumps me up, and like I feel like I want to go work out. And there is this other part of me which is like I like these like cheesy romantic movies with like full on like lines and shit, like that level cheesy. So so when I watched It's Okay to Not Be Okay, it was like it was a combination of like both like a beautiful art, like storytelling, and also like the cheesy romantic part. Like what I really loved about like this Korean drama series is like after watching It's Okay to Not Be Okay, I watched Encounter. So like I watched two Korean dramas, and so like based on what I have watched, like I really like their way of storytelling, like their way of making that series. There are a lot of like good things about them. First of all, the actors are like super good looking, like holy shit, like they're like super cute, like super good looking. And like yeah, that's one good point. And the other thing is I love their cinematography, like their it's so beautiful, like the way they place the camera, like the background scenery, like the way how uh like the entire shot is taken, it's beautiful. Like I really love their cinematography. And like basically Korean drama is the best version of Bollywood, basically. Like that is what it is. Korean drama is something Bollywood wants to be but can never be. So yeah, to sum up in two lines. And I was surprised by a lot of aspects, because initially when I started watching this Korean drama, I had my perception of like what it's gonna be. I know this is such a racist thing to say. Uh, Initially, I thought like Asian people can't act. Yeah, I know you guys will kill me for that, but yeah, that's what I thought. Because usually, like when you see Asian guys in like Hollywood movies, it's mostly like action. It's like oh karate. It's like oh kung fu, right? So I didn't specifically saw them like give a commendable performance ever in my life. Like I didn't see any of those movies, but when I saw them, like when I saw this Korean drama, they can act, damn it. Like they like they have such like wide range of emotions. Like one of the thing that I like about Korean drama, which is also like similar to Bollywood, is they have like this comic characters, like similar to how there is in Bollywood. It's like they have every aspect to it. Like there is this funny character, there's this like serious character, there is this like yeah, like there is every character. And like it's so beautiful. I really liked it. So yeah, I've started watching it. So if you guys have any recommendation, please DM me on Instagram, or you can comment if you're watching this on YouTube. So yes, and also I recently got vaccination shot. Oh, like the day I got, I was like, oh, I'm normal, like nothing's happening. But the next day, not even next day, like the night that I got vaccination, holy shit, I cannot express the body pain that I was having. It was like some 20 people like beat me to pulp. It was like that, like painful. And the next day was like super horrible. All I did was lie on my couch, cover myself with blanket, and I was watching Korean drama on TV. Like I just binged from morning till evening. That's all I did that day. And I was feeling like super shitty. And I slept that night. And next day I was normal. But I still have like a little arm pain because of that injection. But yes. I've been applying to jobs lately. I'm a graduate now. I finished my bachelor's in design, so now I'm looking for jobs. Before I did this podcast, I actually attended an interview. It is such a like like you have to sell yourself in such a like a passive way. Like you gotta tell that you're an amazing person, you're like this like amazing designer, or like you're this or that, like in a very passive way. And yeah, that has been like pretty tiring. Like I keep applying for like so many companies. Like some of them respond, some of them don't, and then you give interview. Like some of them you like how much they're willing to pay. Sometimes you're not happy, but then you get all these existential questions. Like oh yeah. So I wanna get a job because I wanna make money. Like with this podcast, every single thing like from mic to my like hosting server, like wherever I host on auditioning platforms, like every single thing has been from like my savings. Like this is my baby. So yeah, like I invested in this. So in order to like when you can make money, like when you make money which keeps flowing, then you can pursue your passion without any chip on your shoulder to make money. Like if I have another source to so that I can make money from, I can pursue this podcast regardless of if this makes money for me or not. So yeah, I've been looking for money, plus I have education loan. So good luck to me. Yeah, that's about it, guys. Like now let's get into the Q&A. Yeah, it's very interesting that I do this Q&A because like usually when I ask people questions, it's about a specific topic. Like my previous episode was on, like I asked people what they think is the cause of sadness, and I got pretty amazing replies. So this time I didn't have anything to ask them, so I asked them to ask me if they had any questions. So Chocopocalypse. What the fuck is the username? Yes. So Chocopocalypse asks me what makes me nervous. Uh, Sudden surge of anxiety. Can we call that nervousness? Like just a sudden like spike in anxiety. So I think that's what nervousness is. And recently I've realized, like me and my family, like long back, we went on a road trip and to a hill station. So basically, while we were going, we didn't actually know the route. Like the GPS just like the signal was off, so we couldn't see the GPS properly, and the road was like super narrow. And the other side, like off the road, it was like there was no fence protecting it. Like if you fell, you just like you're just gone, and the road was super narrow. And I got super nervous because I was scared of like getting lost. Like that made me super nervous. I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where we are going. Like just the thought of that like made me like super anxious, and it made me nervous. So that's one thing that made me nervous. And the other thing I'm nervous about sometimes is I'm still working on this. When I eat a lot of junk, I feel like my stomach is gonna just like pop back off. Like I was a fat kid, right? Like now I've lost weight, and now I'm scared of gaining all that back. It is such a stupid thing. Like, but like scientifically, it's not gonna happen like that. Like overnight, it's just series of decisions. My thinking brain knows that, but my feeling brain doesn't know. So sometimes I just like when I eat a lot of junk, I feel this like something stirring up in my stomach, like the anxiety part. And yeah, I think that's I'm nervous about that. What else am I nervous about? That is it. Yeah, that's all I can think of for now. Hey, we have another question. It's from Manish Hegdal. He asks, why are we afraid of commitments? Hmm. This is such an interesting topic. Committing to someone, regardless. So commitment could be used in any regards. It could be like committing to something like that you're passionate about. Let's say this podcast or like fitness, like that commitment. And there's also like relationship commitments. So usually, what I think is, I've seen like my sister, and I've seen like, a lot of like people around me who who don't continuously do something, let's say like fitness, or like let's say that's like singing or like anything that they're passionate about, they don't, because I've observed that it's because they have a fear of failing at it. Yeah, I don't know why I use it's because so many times, so please pardon me. Yeah, it's they're scared of failing, and so they think that let's not participate if there is a chance of me failing, that they don't want to face that. Probably I think that could be the reason why people don't like commit to certain things. uh, hmm. When it comes to relationships, like after talking to a lot of psychologists, like not a lot, just two three on my podcast, I had Shivani, I had Apurva, I had Neha Taparia. All these three are like phenomenal psychologists. Like they know their shit, like they know what they're talking about. So after talking to them, I realized and that like even when when I look around, right, like whatever they've told me, I register in my head, and when I look around, it's all true that people carry trauma with them. Like uh, trauma, I had an assumption that people who've been through like a very traumatic experience, like extreme level of traumatic experience, only carry trauma. But that's not true. Like even like small things in your childhood, they amplify over the period of time. Like as you grow, like they grow with you. So even the trauma grows, even though it is small, it grows with you. So yeah, like everybody carries trauma of some sort, like regardless, everybody carries that. And the reason why I say this is, people who are scared to commit to people, they have like a deep rooted reason for that. uh, Probably they're scared of getting rejected, or like they're scared of uh, the relationship failing, uh like they can't take that heartbreak, because like they might have been through a traumatic experience like a breakup where someone cheated on them or something like that. So it's very hard for them to like get their like guard down, because they feel like it's gonna happen again, that that thing, like whatever hurt them. So I think that's probably the reason why people don't commit to people, like they're afraid of commitment. It's not about being afraid, they just run away from commitment. It's like every time they have to, like if they like, if they're dating it's fine, but if they meet a point where the partner asks for some sort of commitment, they mostly back off from that, is because of this. And this is not a easy thing to overcome. Like a lot of people, when it comes to mental health, right, they just throw away like suggestions and advice like it's nothing. But they expect that like just some simple words or like I like will make a difference. It does, but like on a very minute level, people don't understand the magnitude of the pain of someone who goes through something. Like if you have been through something and I have been through some other thing, you don't know the pain that I've gone through, and I don't know the pain you've gone through. Like people underestimate that, like while giving free suggestions or like advice. So yeah, I think that's what is the cause of like fear of commitment. This is my personal opinion. This is the opinion of Sankarshan Joshi, and he's a stupid guy, so you can take if you want or not. And yeah, so Varun underscore A20 asks, not a question, but would love to see you analyze some interesting political events or criminal events. Uh, so the reason why I usually don't get into like politics, or I stay away from news channels and like any source of news, is because there is so much of negativity out there. Like so much of negativity, like there is like either some rape or like some violent attack somewhere. It's always about that. Like I don't know if they make the choice of just to show like the criminal events, or like if it's like genuinely so bad outside. Like I can't make a difference. And some things trigger me a lot, like rape. Like like they trigger the shit out of me, and I cannot take it. And when you look around right now, there are a lot of minors being raped. Like there is a case going on right now. I guess it's in Kerala, but I don't dig deeper into that because it's like it triggers me and I cannot sleep at night. It's because that's something that disturbs you, but I don't know what specifically I can do to do that. It's basically I want to avenge them. Like you kind of get that feeling where you want to make things even, and then whoever did that should also like go through some form of pain. Like you have that feeling, and that feeling is not healthy for me. Like I cannot sleep at night, so I stay away from things that trigger me. But I've been through a lot of articles on the internet, but like in order to do this, i I chose to ignore the fact that some things could trigger me. I still went through it, and I found certain like certain news articles that I'd like to share now. Like the first article is recently our Indian hockey team, women hockey team, was this close to winning bronze medal in Tokyo Olympics, but they didn't. So one of the players, her name is Vandana Kataria. So a lot of her neighbors are threatening their family, and they're passing a lot of like casteist statements and a lot of like violent threats against their family because Vandana Kataria belongs to their caste, and their caste women can, like they're not happy that a woman from their caste is going abroad, like she's going to different parts of the world to represent our country. They think that it's not a woman's job to do that. What a bunch of assholes. Can you imagine this lady is representing India in the fucking Tokyo Olympics, and the whole world and the whole nation is proud of them. But these motherfuckers, they go like they're threatening their family. Do you know how unsafe they're gonna feel, because it's their home and people know their location and identities and anything could happen to them at any time? Should they be proud that their daughter is like making them and India proud, or should they be worried about such bunch of assholes? And on the bright side, like they've placed an FIR and they've arrested couple of people. uh, in India, initially when caste system started, the reason why started was entirely different. Like it was it was basically based on their occasion of like what they were doing as a job, and like that's how it like initially it started, and it slowly transformed into something else. India is a secular country. Like we umbrella so many different castes, so many different creeds, and so many different religion, and we are proud of it. But there are some communities that are in some parts of India who are very violent and they throw so much hate towards the other caste. It's like it comes to a point where they start identifying themselves to that particular caste, and they start feeling like their caste is superior than the other or like lower than the other. It's the inferiority complex. Plus, look at the audacity of these men. Like, setting aside the caste part of it, they also added a point that she's a woman, right? Like, even now in a lot of parts of India, women are not supposed to be doing all of these things. Like, they don't have the freedom to do whatever the fuck they want, which actually disturbs the fuck out of me. You know how much they have to go through, like because of these toxic men. Holy shit, man. Can you just imagine being in place of that woman? Like, that's all I have to say, man. Like, I'm just like extremely disturbed, and I'm glad that like police are arresting them. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, fucking put those bastards in jail and kick their balls. The second news article that I read was, here's another news article. Husband chugged my vagina, said I was preventing pregnancy. Indian abandoned in the United States. So this is the headline. I'm gonna read that again. Husband checked my vagina, said I was preventing pregnancy. Indian abandoned in the United States. There are a lot of layers to this problem. Like, I kind of I kind of put this article right after the previous one, because it kind of translates from caste to like men being toxic to like this article. So for a longest period of time in India, women, I don't think it's just in India, I think it's around the world, that women were blamed for anything that happens in pregnancy. Like, if a girl couldn't get pregnant, if a woman couldn't get pregnant, uh, it's her fault. So that has been a message, like that has been like a thing for a really, really long time. And that's just not it. Like, I was just trying to comprehend her situation, because technically she's in a toxic relationship right now, and she explains her situation in detail. The like police department in the US, uh, I'm not sure if it's police department or if it's uh yeah, I think it's police department or some Indian embassy somewhere. I think she was expressing herself. So basically, after they had sex, so the husband would start yelling at wife, and like he would keep yelling that she's the reason that they're not getting pregnant. right after sex. Bro, what the fuck? Like, right after sex, he kept yelling at her, and I am pretty sure that she saw that coming and she wasn't even like enjoying and she wasn't even happy while having sex. What a fucking asshole that dude is. Yeah. And she also adds that he would check her vagina, and sometimes he would put torch, and then he would put on gloves and he would put finger and he would check like if there is something. So when he didn't find, he got super frustrating and he kept yelling that her wife was hiding something from him, like she was doing something to stop pregnancy. And every time she went to washroom, if she took like a bit longer than normal, he would start like banging the door and asking if she's doing something to avoid pregnancy. So and also like he stopped her from closing doors every time she went to use the washroom. Yeah, her situation is so bad, and I'm so like glad that she's speaking up right now. Like uh she went to higher authorities and then she's talking about her problem, and I hope that this solves and she gets out of that relationship. The reason why I chose to talk about like this article was like this news article was because one of my friend was in a toxic relationship. Like she was a really really good friend of mine. I'm sure she's listening to this. uh she was in a very toxic relationship. That dude was like super possessive, super jealous of everything, and uh, he was jealous of me too, that I was friends with her. So he kind of like pushed her to push me away. So so it was like she just like stopped talking to me because because of that dude. And recently she ended that relationship. And I am so proud of her and I'm so happy for her because yes, I was angry as a friend that she just like left me and she just abandoned me for her boyfriend. But that was not it, because like the amount of toxicity a person can project is incomprehensible. Like you like it makes you feel shitty. uh this lady in the news article is has also she has been in a toxic relationship, but on a much higher magnitude than like a normal relationship toxicity. Because like I am sure that that dude's parents were aware of this problem, and her parents were aware of this problem, but they didn't do anything about it. Like I'm so surprised. Like if some shit like this was happening to your daughter, you won't do anything. Like, so in that sense the magnitude of that problem is much more higher than a lot of like relationship toxicities. But this thing resonated with me because I could empathize with her, and I could empathize with my friend too. I've been reading Everything is Fucked, and you guys should definitely read that. I haven't completed it yet. I'm like halfway through. And in one part of the books he talks about why people feel low self-esteem, why people feel low self-respect. Like I feel like these two are the only reasons why people stay and not end in a toxic relationship, because they feel that they deserve that shit. Like in that book he beautifully demonstrates how our brain always figures out a way to balance our thinking brain and feeling brain. I was talking to my sister also about this toxic relationships and like the toxicity that people throw. uh, like even after talking to her, after talking to like psychologists, like the conclusion that I've come to is people take that shit because they think they deserve this. Like I'm mentioning this point twice because I want to put it out there twice. Like people like they stay in toxic relationship because they think that they deserve it, which is such a bizarre thing, because in a way it is their own doing, but they're not even aware of it, and they don't even know that there is a possibility to get out of that. People who grew up in a toxic environment like family where their parents are toxic relationship, like they think that's normal, so when they grow up they go seeking for that sorts of relationship and they feel like that is their home. uh, but like that's one aspect of like toxic relationship. For a longest period of time, if people have been giving shit and there is nothing you can do or say back about it, your brain starts to filling in the gap by telling you that probably you deserve this. Like, you know, you did like this wrong, like that's why you deserve this. Like your brain will start looking for reason to justify what is happening, because like that's the only way that you can neutralize things in your brain. Like that's the only way. It's like if there is a question, your brain always finds out a way to answer things. And like like your brain will always resort to that point, saying that, you know, you probably deserve this because, you know, you did, like it'll start pointing out all the bad shit that you did or probably you think is bad in that relationship. And you kind of start justifying every single shitty thing that is happening right now as a uh, as a result of what you did. It's like a compensation, and you kind of settle for that. I feel so sad for those people. Like I feel like being in a toxic relationship is such a torture. It is such a drain and pain in the ass. Like once someone gets out of a toxic relationship, let's say this lady in the article, like in the news article, if she gets out of that relationship and if she breathes fresh air, she's gonna feel like so liberated, she's gonna feel like so happy. She's gonna carry the trauma for a long period of time, but when she finds that right person for her, like when she finds like someone who actually respects her and love her, she's gonna have the best part of her life. And I hope the same thing for my friend too. Like was recently come out of the toxic relationship. The only time you'll know that you were in a toxic relationship once you come out and breathe the fresh air. Like I had a very toxic friend, and our I was very loyal to him, and I took all the shit that he gave because I saw him as my brother. But it turned out like he's much more shittier than I am. But like so basically what happened with my friend is, like, I've never really talked about it on the podcast, but uh I had a child, like a school friend of mine. He was like 1 year younger to me, and we were like super tight, and like we were like brothers, and I valued him. Like, I valued him to my core, and we were like like super tight. But every time I did something wrong, he gave me like so much shit about it. Like he made me feel very inferior, but I took it because like I felt that he's like my brother, and if he's saying something, that means that I should correct that in me. He's probably saying that so that I'll be benefited from this. He's thinking about me positively. Like that's what I kept saying throughout it. But like every small thing, like for every small thing that I did wrong, he gave me so much shit, but I took it and thought of that as loyalty. But it turns out that he did much more shittier, like worse things than I did. He technically cheated on his girlfriend. Yeah, he technically cheated on his girlfriend. But like at that point, I realized this man who cheated on his girlfriend, he he gave me so much shit, but all this while like he was doing like worse things than me. So so he actually put me down so that he could feel superior. Like that's exactly what happened. Like that day I decided I'm not gonna take shit from anybody anymore, and I just ended that. Like I said, fuck you, fuck off, and I just came out of that. Like I didn't see him ever again in my life. But once I came out of that, like the environment, right? Like I started noticing so many good things. Like so, because when you breathe like shitty air, even a bit of fresh air feels very new and very refreshing. So that's exactly how I felt. So for all the people who feel like they're taking shit from people and they're not happy with in any form of relationship, just get the fuck out of that relationship. The day you start respecting yourself, that's when you stop taking shit from anybody. There is a limit to where up to what you can take shit from people. Like, yeah, but once that limit crossed, just get the fuck out of there. This is the last article. So far, the two have been like the two articles that I discussed before have been very like slightly triggering, sad. So that's why I wanted to add like a happy thing at the last. A man holds placard outside Tokyo Olympic Village for athletes daily. So basically, this article says there is this dude who holds a placard outside Tokyo Olympics like every single day in the morning, which says, "Good morning, athletes. Even if you don't get a medal, you're still the best. So believe in yourself." So there is this old dude who's holding the placard that says this. This is the sweetest thing I've seen in such a long time. This small thing can make the athlete's day so much better. Like when you're randomly going on the street and someone says good morning or someone smiles at you, you feel so much better, right? And this dude is there spreading love. He can understand the pressure that athletes are going through because they're representing their nation, and this small thing that he did will make like a huge impact on them. Like it's start of the day and it'll make them so much like feel so much better. So why is it hard to like just show love to people? Like all you have to do is just like smile at them. The tiny things can add so much to other people. Like you don't know what they're going through. So just being nice to them and just saying something like respectful, saying something really nice could make their day. It could actually make their day. So I felt super happy when I read this, and I want to end the podcast on this note. Let's all try to do the tiny things to make like people happy. You don't have to make grand gestures. You don't have to like make expensive gestures. It's the tiny thing, like decent things that could actually make a huge impact on people. So thank you so much for listening, guys. I'm gonna be back soon. I actually had like so much fun doing this because there, like, while I was going through the questions, like, while I was going through the like all the articles, so many things were going on in my head. I was discovering so many thoughts about a certain topic which I never really thought about. So, this is nice. Let's do this more often, people. Like, I want to talk to you guys one on one like this. And you can follow me on Instagram at Sankarshan Joshi Trip. I keep posting polls where we can talk to each other, we can get to know each other. So, thank you so much for listening once again. Take care. Goodbye. This podcast is now recorded on video as well as audio. You can find the audio version on Spotify, JioSavan, and Ghana. You can find the video version on YouTube. So, yeah, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Take care.
A Sankarshan Joshi trip.